Give them an inch and they'll take a mile. The ink is barely dry on Cayman's agreement with the UK regarding the sharing of beneficial ownership information without creating what's being called a controversial central public registry. But in recent days, the mother country has turned up the heat, pressuring government to commit to a new initiative that proposes to automate the sharing of beneficial ownership information. One person who's very concerned, no stranger to the airwaves, Jonathan Piercy, is here in the studio to discuss with us exactly how he feels about what's transpired. Good evening, Mr. Piercy.
Good evening, Tommy.
All right, you've been watching very closely what's happening. Your thoughts?
I think that this is very dangerous for Cayman. I think that this could ultimately, potentially be the death nail for our financial services industry. And I say that very, very concerned because I realize that the financial services industry makes up almost 50% of our GDP. But this agreement of having a centralized platform for beneficial ownership is going to certainly erode people's privacy, and they have a right to privacy. They also have a right to due process, and this agreement that we have signed up to gives the various authorities, law enforcement authorities, 1 hour in some instances to receive information on a request.
Now, you are no stranger to politics. You ran in the last election. You know that the pressure has been brought time after time after time, and it's not going to let up. Did the government have any choice? For the government, this was an olive branch of sorts, and they're saying, all right, we're not going to do the public registry, but this is a centralized platform that only law enforcement agencies will have access to. You don't think that's good enough?
It's a spin. It's a play on words. But let me answer the first part of your question. I don't think that politics should get into the way of our representatives representing the best interests of the Cayman Islands. That is what they were there to do. This is not in the best interest of the Caymanian people. Persons that are very close to what is going on, persons that work and operate in the legal sphere are very, 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 very concerned, very worried. Some financial institutions have actually left the jurisdictions. Companies are actually winding up, going elsewhere. So I just want to point out something as well. In the Cayman Journal, back in January of this year, Minister Panton is stated here as saying that major changes to Cayman's transparency regime in 2016, but no central register of beneficial ownership, government says. In the third paragraph down, he says, in addition, government proposes a technology-based centralized platform to access information about the beneficial owners of companies and other entities registered by service providers in the Cayman Islands. It's the exact same thing that he's just said one paragraph above that.
Well, their argument is that it's only local authorities, not all and sundry, that will have access to this platform.
Well, it's technology-based, right, Tommy? So if it's technology-based, then it can be hacked. It can be accessed. And if I don't think we'll have enough time, but I read the agreement, which is online on the Foreign and Commonwealth website. And the information, there's a peculiar clause in there that says that persons that are responsible on our end for transmitting the information to their end can't be held responsible. However, what they've done is they've said something in one of the clauses to make it appear as though if something happens between me sending it and them receiving it, if somewhere in between that is hacked, then who is responsible?
I know you're watching very keenly what's happening here on the ground, but also what's happening in the UK. You know that in Parliament over there, time and time again, they're banging the gavel. The rhetoric continues to come out, talking about Cayman Islands as a tax haven. What are we to do? What would, if you had the reins of power, so to speak, if you could make the decisions, what would you have done in this case?
The first thing I would do, and this wouldn't be a knee-jerk reaction, this should have been something that was ongoing. We should have the right technocrats in place, the legal team in place that can deal with these matters comprehensively. We have the wrong people negotiating for us. Our representatives aren't the most intelligent on every single subject, and that's fine. But we have to surround ourselves with intelligent people, people who are prepared to defend us and take a position and move it forward. We don't have to picket, we don't have to protest, we don't have to go there with blood in our eyes, but we need to maintain the rule of law, or we need to maintain what the law says. And our laws are very clear. And not just Cayman, any civilized democracy, you have a right to privacy and you have a right to due process. This arrangement removes those rights.
This arrangement is signed. What can we do now?
Well, I don't know what we can do now. I am not behind the scenes. I don't know what's going on. But I can tell you that things that have been signed in the past have been fought against, and we have won. Okay, the now leader of the opposition, when he was leader of government, he took the UK to the EU Court of First Justice and won So we can do similarly. The thing is do we have the politicians in place that have the political will? If I could just add in 15 seconds really quickly that I suspect that what has happened here and what we're seeing on display is nothing more than this government was installed by the Foreign and Commonwealth Office, and there's certain things that they now have to abide to or agree to.
Mr. Pacey, I'm sure we'll continue this conversation another time, but I do thank you for being here
Thank
with
you
us
for
on
allowing
Cayman
me to be
27
here.
News.
Thank you.